It's hard, if not downright impossible, to dream while you're in pain. Yet, whether through accident or illness, there are countless people who are tormented by agonizing discomfort day in and day out. My guest, Harvey Warren, was one of those people, and his quest to recover led to his writing of the new book, The Optimized Patient: How to Prepare for, Survive, and Recover from Spine Surgery. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Harvey.
Here, hi, Debbie.
Hi. So, Harvey, tell us what happened. What caused pain to enter your life?
I was traveling on a business trip in Evanston, Wyoming, and the guy that was driving the car missed the stop sign, and we got hit in an intersection, and 3 days later, I couldn't walk. And for 2 years after that, I spent a lot of time visiting with chiropractors and physical therapists and epidural doctors and pain relief people, only to ultimately end up in the hands of a spine surgeon 3 times.
Well, Harvey, I've known you a long time, and if there's anything I know about you is that you are a survivor. But this did have to be the most challenging part of your life. So how did you survive? How did you get through it?
It's a state of mind thing more than anything. People that survive and recover, and in the book we talk about 5 other patients that did the same thing I did. They found a way through to get out of the pain. We ended up trading a very temporary experience of very acute pain through surgery to relieve ourselves of lifelong chronic pain, like you were mentioning at the beginning. Some people just spend the rest of their life struggling with, daily pain relievers and all kinds of stuff, and they never really are able to embrace their dream, which is being themselves again, being able to be you again. That's a big challenge and takes a lot of work.
It certainly does. And in your book, you actually gear this book toward patients who are about to have spinal surgery. There it is. Yes.
The book.
The book itself. Yes. So what are some of the things that an informed patient needs to know in order to improve their prospects for recovery?
Very fortunate to have NBA superstar Bill Walton write the foreword to the book. And Nate Quarry, the MMA fighter, Nathan Rock Quarry, write the afterword for the book. And both of these professional athletes suffered tremendous injuries and went back to having full lives. Bill Walton was actually on TV with me the other day, and the conversation really comes around, where's your head at? Can you actually imagine yourself being better? What's your dream? For the people that see themselves and they go, well, always been sick, always hurt, never going to get better, tried everything, I'm just going to schlunk along, and it's okay, I'll sit in the dark. The old grandmother joke. But the truth of it is that when people sit down and say, yeah, I can get better, I will get better, when they change up what they're thinking and they start to take the action necessary to get better. One of the things I learned from Bill Walton, which is super important for the folks that are listening to this, how do you know if you need back surgery? Well, if you go into a swimming pool for an hour a day, 3 times a week, and just walk back and forth, the prospect of unloading your spine from all that negative 0 G in the water and walking back and forth, which creates core strengthening. If you do that 3 times a week for a month and your back still hurts, you need to see a spine surgeon. There's something wrong mechanically in your back. Many people do that strategy and find that, my back is feeling a whole lot better. They just don't know how to get better. And the reason I wrote the book is that I found over 7 years of struggling with surgeons and PT and chiro and all this stuff that no one really knows how to get better, and there's no book on it.
Which is why there was a need for you to write it, obviously.
Yeah, seriously, it's when you integrate the ideas of activity, rest, state of mind, and nutrition, and those are the 4 moving parts to get better. And it's how much rest, how much activity, what's too much, what's not enough, what kind of foods work to redevelop your microbiome, your micro what? People have no idea what all this stuff is about. And as science is emerging and say, okay, what are the strategies that really help people get better? Then you've got to put a book together and interview 4 surgeons and 2 physical therapists, a nutritionist, and a chiropractor, and put their knowledge in one book. And my joke is that nobody knows everything, but everybody knows something. And when you put it all together in a book, you've got a pretty good roadmap on how to get better. I'll tell you, the surgeons are going crazy for the book. They are so grateful that we're redefining where the boundaries are between a surgeon and a patient. How much of the responsibility really is the patient's and how much of it is the surgeon's? Well, the surgeon's just going to fix your back. You have to make the commitment to get better. And that's a whole lot of work, whole lot of work. And if your dream is, back to your subject, if your dream is to be you again, to recover your activity, be able to pick up your kids, walk around, go to the grocery store without pain, be able to ride your bicycle, whatever it is. If that's your dream, you better get busy. It's a lot of work.
This is true. And, one of the things that I talk about, and I talk about dreams and talking about living a dream life, is about your attitude. And one of the biggest roadblocks toward even thinking clearly is fear. So tell me more about how fear plays into it, and the role of fear plays in recovery or not recovery.
Let's see. Is there anything that people could fear more than a spine surgeon? Probably not. I mean, that is the nightmare scenario for every human on the planet. Like, they're going to get into my back. I'm going to have in a wheelchair. I'll be paralyzed. They're going to kill me. I mean, people are so afraid. Personally, I was afraid. For 2 years, I tried air, and I write about it in the book. Every one of the spine patients in the book, and there's 6 of us aggregately. Every single one of us tried anything, everything to avoid the spine surgeon. The fear factor is incredible. But what I found out, and I write extensively about it in the book, is that I was way less fearful the second time. And I was, matter of fact, about it the third time. Because the joke is Mark Twain said some of the worst things that ever happened to me never even happened. I mean, what's going on in your head is way worse than the experience. I will say, however, it wasn't fun. It just was not a good time. But the fear that was preventing me from seeking the kind of help that I needed to correct the problem in my back, I just, I should have years prior gone to see a spine surgeon and just fixed the problem. Suffered needlessly for years.
Yeah, and so one of the reasons why fear often crops up is just because of fear of the unknown, just not having the information that you need to have. So if you do see yourselves having the prospect of having to have surgery, what are the kinds of things that you should ask of the surgeon? And also, what kinds of things do you want to hear from the surgeon, and what should you expect the surgeon to tell you before you go under the knife?
Well, you want to ask the surgeon, am I a good candidate for surgery? What? People go, well, I've decided that I really need spine surgery, and they're in the surgeon's office. You've got to ask the doctor, am I a good candidate for surgery? Because if you're a smoker, you're not. If you're overweight, you're not. If you're not going to do the activity, you're not. If you eat junk food, you're not. If you are, prone to addiction, bad. You don't really want to get into the whole opioid crisis. I mean, there's a lot of traps that come around spine surgery. What if you do your homework, read a book, my book, but there is no other book like, it sounds like very, blowing my own horn here, but I've been unable to identify another book like it. That's why I wrote the thing. I mean, it's just so hard to find how to put all these moving parts together, including the nutrition part, which is a whole another deal on how people get well. What do you eat to actually get better? But, coming up with a strategy and finding the parts and pieces that you need to really get on the track to getting well is a little bit of a challenging thing. But if you can overcome the fear of the spine surgeon and do your homework and stay away from the internet. The internet is all about people complaining about things that went wrong and horror stories. And if you read the internet, we talk about it in the book, all of us read the internet and it scared the pants off everybody. And in the interviews, everybody talks about, like, I went on and saw my surgery, and I'm like, oh my God, what? I'm not doing that. I mean, so be careful about what you read on the internet. Know that spine surgery's come a quantum leap in the last, couple, 3, 4 years with minimally invasive surgery. And that if you're focused and if you're prepared, ask your surgeon, am I a good candidate for surgery? If the surgeon says yes, Then you start asking them, well, what kind of surgery you're doing? Are you doing laminectomies, meaning open your back up? Or are you doing minimally invasive stuff? What is your methodology? What's your technique? You should see at least 2 spine surgeons to compare notes. Very, very important. And you should go with the surgeon that you have confidence in, the guy that makes you feel like, okay, or gal, that I'm in her hands or I'm in his hands, and I think they can fix me. Go for it. It's very rare that people botch a spine surgery despite all the horror stories. Typically, people have really bad outcomes because they stay in bed too much, they don't get enough activity, they don't eat the right food, they don't rest. It's just a lot of moving parts, as I've said.
Yeah, and in the end, a lot of it comes down to personal responsibility. You know, taking action by yourself in terms
Yes.
of getting the information and then following the information that you need to do to recover. And read a book like yours, of course. Yes.
There's a joke in the back of my book. Your spine doctor needs your help. And
Yes.
people go like, my doctor needs my help. Well, yeah, if you're going to get better, the doctor needs your help. You need to be a participant in your own outcome.
hmm Well, you touched a bit before about on opioids, and what I wanted to ask you about was obviously when you're in pain, you're looking for any kind of relief you can have. Um, and opioids, you know, for all the abuse, they are effective in reducing pain. So my question to you is there a way to use them responsibly?
Absolutely, and necessarily. The big challenge after spine surgery is getting comfortable enough to rest, because it really does hurt like the dickens. I mean, it hurts. And so the question becomes, you ever sprained your ankle or, banged your elbow really hard without breaking it? It hurts like the dickens for 3, 4, 5, 6 days. A week, a leave or whatever does the trick. Post-op, maybe for the 3 days, the first couple of days afterwards, you really need some heavy drugs to relieve the pain because it really does hurt. But after a week, yeah, it hurts, but you're getting better. So, the 1 pill every 4 hours becomes 1 pill every 6 hours, becomes 1 pill every 8 hours, becomes 1 pill a day. And you start using the drug for one reason only, to get comfortable enough that you can let your body rest and you can begin to get some kind of movement to get your blood flow going. Because blood flow is what heals you. You want to get your heart rate up. You want to keep moving around. They had me walking down the hall in the hospital 1 hour after surgery. They want to get you back on your feet, get your heart pumping, get that antibiotic and all the anesthesia and all that stuff out of your system. They want to get you moving and get you into an anabolic state, because you're in a catabolic state when you come out of surgery. You're like a dead person. You're just done. You've been gassed and shot full of antibiotics. And the question is, okay, how do you restart your recovery engine? We have a whole chapter on that. And, you're on your way to getting better.
I want to get back to another thing that you said, which was about the role of nutrition, because you wouldn't necessarily think that what you eat is going to make that much of a difference in terms of surgery. For general health, yes, but you wouldn't think specifically about surgery. So tell me about the kinds of foods that you would eat, or just that general nutrition that you should follow when you're recovering from surgery.
Well, it's exactly the opposite. It's kind of counterintuitive. At no point in your life are you going to be more hammered than the minute you wake up from surgery. Because they've given you anesthesia, they flushed your body with antibiotics to make sure there's no infection, and now they're lubing it with opioids. So that trifecta completely paralyzes your digestive system. It's really funny. We talk about it. The biggest problem that all the patients had, their biggest complaint was the constipation after surgery. You would say, gee, how does constipation stack up against spine surgery? Well, you have no baseline on spine surgery, but you do have a baseline on constipation. So after not going to the bathroom for 3 days, it starts to become very disturbing. And so they're giving you colace and all this kind of stuff. And what's going on is that the surgical procedure has literally put a halt to your microbiome. And when that happens, you cannot digest or absorb nutrients. And unfortunately, in hospitals, the joke is they give you some green jello or whatever like that, which is sugar-based, which is bad for healing. And so what you find out is there's a whole range of things that you really shouldn't be eating when you're in the healing process. Because think about it. You've now been lopped open, stitched up, You've got all kinds of tubes and whatever coming out of you. At no point in your life does your body need more resources than in that moment after surgery. And it's the time in which your body has the least access to good nutrition. So what do we recommend to people? So I have a PhD from Syracuse University, where I went to graduate school. Kay Bruning, Dr. Kay Bruning, in a conversation with me about this is the most exciting idea ever. She said, we have been trying to get the medical community to understand the power and importance of nutrition. And, you know, the old thing from Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So the oldest idea in the world. You remember all this scurvy stuff when we were kids, from the guys going across the ocean, and they weren't eating fruits and vegetables, and so they were all getting rickets or whatever it was they were getting, scurvy. And the problem is that nutrition has a massive impact on people's lives. We all know about, heart disease, and we all know about, other issues, diabetes, that come from the things that people eat improperly or overeat. And so the inverse of that is also true. If you eat the right things, if you eat things that have phytochemicals, which is a new word that I learned during the writing of the book, if you eat things that'll make you heal, then you'll just heal better and heal faster. Every one of the experiences that I had as I learned about this stuff, my recovery in every instance subsequent surgery was extraordinary. Not because, I'm Superman or anything like that. I mean, the joke about me became like I was Wolverine. They would poke a hole in me and it would just close up. And they go like, how are you doing that? And I'm going, well, I'm using Manuka honey on my wounds. And they're like, Manuka what? And people go like, well, what's that about? I mean, what do you know about Manuka honey? I mean, Even my physical therapist didn't know about that. And they looked at my wound healing. They're going like, it's extraordinary. How did you do that? What did you do? I said, well, there's this stuff called Manuka honey. And the people said, well, that's, witchcraft and crazy stuff. And people, it's like hippy dippy. And you go, wait a second. They sell Manuka honey bandages at CVS. So how crazy can it be? I mean, come on. But people don't really understand that what you put on the wound, like Manuka honey, seals the wound, moisturizes it. And the gas that's created inside of Manuka honey is like hydrogen peroxide. So you're constantly disinfecting, moisturizing, and sealing the wound. Now that's how you get better.
So my final question to you is, how can people find out about your book and about you?
Yeah, there's a website called theoptimizedpatient.com. And everything you ever want to know about this arena, and probably things you didn't want to know, are on the website there. Books on Amazon. There's an audio book in case you're not a reader and you want to listen to this in the car. We did an audio book that took us a couple of weeks to produce, which we're pretty proud of and excited about. There's an ebook. You can download it off of Amazon as well.
Talking with author and pain management expert Harvey Warren on the Dream Power Show.